Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillahi wa kafa, wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'dah wa ba'd. Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed us. We have lived another week, and now we come to Surah Az-Zukhruf, the 43rd surah today. We were unable to sight the moon in the United Kingdom, so we counted 30 days of Jumada al-Ula, which would make today the first of Jumada al-Akhirah, which is Friday. The first of Jumada al-Akhirah, 1437. This then brings us from Jumada al-Akhirah, Rajab, Sha'ban, Ramadan. This puts us really 3 months away, not counting Ramadan from that month. Right? Because we have Jumada al-Akhirah, Rajab, then Sha'ban. So we are 3 months away from one of the most important months on our calendar. So, we have the beginning of Surah Az-Zukhruf, and in his Tafsir, Imam Ibn Al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he says, quote, Surah Az-Zukhruf is a Meccan surah by consensus. There is only one small portion of the surah which was revealed not in Mecca, as said by Muqatil. This small portion is وَاسْأَلْ مَنْ أَرْسَلْنَا, and ask who we sent. Surah Az-Zukhruf, Ayah 45. Besides this, the entire surah is Meccan. It begins with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Hamim, wal kitabil mubin, inna ja'alnahu qur'anan arabiyyan la'allakum ta'qilun, wa innahu fi ummil kitabi ladayna la'aliyyun hakim. أفنضرب عنكم الذكر صفحا أن كنتم قوما مسرفين وكم أرسلنا من نبي في الأولين وما يأتيهم من نبي إلا كانوا به يستهزئون فأهلكنا أشد منهم بطشا ومضى مثل الأولين ولئن سألتهم من خلق السماوات والأرض ليقولن خلقهن العزيز العليم الذي جعل لكم الأرض مهدا وجعل لكم فيها سبلا لعلكم تهتدون. Hamim, by the book in its clarity. Indeed, we made it an Arabic Quran so that you might reflect and think. Indeed, it is in the substance of the book, in our presence, by the Most High, the All-Wise. is it then that we've given an example among you of the remembrance, page by page, yet you are a people that are wasteful and go astray? How many did we send of each prophet in the nations of old? No prophet came to them except that they used to mock him. And we had destroyed greater than them nations of power. And the example of those past nations has now passed away. If you were to ask them who created the skies and the earth, they would have surely said, the Almighty, the All-Knowing created them. The one who made for you the earth as a bed, and he made for you therein pathways, so that you might be guided therewith. Surah Az-Zukhruf, the 43rd surah, ayat 1 to 10. When the Exalted One has mentioned Hamim, we've already discussed this in the opening of Surah Al-Mu'min. As for by the book that is clear, or the clear book, this is an oath that He, Allah, is making by the Quran. Indeed, we made it. Sa'id ibn Jubayr said, meaning inna ja'alnahu, in this sense, Sa'id ibn Jubayr said, anzalnahu, we sent it down. Now, the word ja'alnahu has been used to mean sent down in Surah An-Nisa, the 4th surah, ayah 82, as well as Surah Yusuf, the 12th surah, ayah 2. And we've explained much of this. As for the statement, wa innahu, and it is, meaning the Quran, in the basis, or the quintessence, or the source of the book, as Zajjaj has said, meaning that it is in the principle, or the basis, or the foundation of everything. So the Quran is established in the sight of Allah in the preserved tablet. In our presence, meaning in our sight, by the most exalted, the most wise. The most wise meaning the one who forbids from falsehood, said by Muqatil, and he is the judge over the people of faith, in that he judges that they have the paradise, and the people of unbelief have the fire. This was mentioned by Abu Sulaiman al-Damashqi. So, when Allah is addressing the people with these words, the ayah refers to the fact that if you've denied, people of Mecca, what is in our sight of the speech of Allah that is noble and grand, then you have gone astray. And when the Exalted One is said, and we've given the remembrance page by page of examples, yet you are far astray, and you are transgressing in that regard. Now, musrifin can mean wasteful, but it means that they are transgressing. And the dhikr being mentioned here is the remembrance of the punishment that is to come. So here Allah is telling them, have we not told you regarding your punishment? Have we not left you on your unbelief? As this was your condition, have we not warned you of your punishment to come? This was said by Ibn Abbas, Mujahid, and As-Sudai. The dhikr also refers to the Quran in general, because have we not referred to the sending down of the Quran? The very Quran which you do not believe in. And this was the understanding given by Qatada and Ibn Zayd. Now, musrifin, as we said, means wasteful ones, but in this context, it refers to idol worshippers. So he, Allah, is informing his prophet that I have sent messengers, and they denied the messengers, and I destroyed the deniers by the very signs that you see here. And when he, Allah, said, we destroyed nations greater than them, meaning the Quraysh, in power and might, and there passed away those other nations, meaning those nations that were described to you The descriptions of their punishments have been sent down to you to inform them. Because the likeness between these people that were punished and these people that are here in front of you in terms of their denial of the truth is the same. And they'll be destroyed the same. Then He, Allah, mentioned that they are ignorant. When they affirm that He is the creator of the skies and the earth, then they worship other than Him. He sent down this ayah as a proof of this. And this has also been explained in Surah Taha, the 20th Surah, ayah 53. And when He says this has been given so that you might be guided. So that you might be guided, meaning so that you might be guided in your travels to your place. Because when He, Allah, said, we put down for you the earth as a bed and made for you pathways so that you might be guided, the guidance here refers to the fact that you'll be guided on your journeys until you reach your goal, and that you're able to make pathways in the earth so that you can reach your destinations without being permanently lost. Then the exalted one, He says, وَالَّذِي نَزَّلَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً بِقَدَرٍ فَأَنشَرْنَا بِهِ بَلْدَةً مَيْتًا كَذَلِكَ تُخْرَجُونَ وَالَّذِي خَلَقَ الْأَزْوَاجَ كُلَّهَا وَجَعَلَ لَكُم مِّنَ الْفُلْكِ وَالْأَنْعَامِ مَا تَرْكَبُونَ لِتَسْتَوُوا عَلَى ظُهُورِهِ ثُمَّ تَذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ رَبِّكُمْ إِذَا استويتم عليه وتقولوا سبحان الذي سخر لنا هذا وما كنا له مقرنين وإنا إلى ربنا لمنقلبون وجعلوا له من عباده جزءا إن الإنسان لكفور مبين أم اتخذ مما يخلق بنات وأصفاكم بالبنين وإذا بشر أحدهم بما ضرب للرحمن مثلا ظل وجهه مسودا وهو كظيم أومن ينشأ في الحلية وهو في الخصام غير مبين وجعلوا الملائكة الذين هم عباد الرحمن إناثا أشهدوا خلقهم ستكتب شهادتهم ويسألون وقالوا لو شاء الرحمن ما عبدناهم ما لهم بذلك من علم إن هم إلا يخرصون أم آتيناهم كتابا من قبله فهم به مستمسكون بل قالوا إنا وجدنا آباءنا على أمة وإنا على آثارهم مهتدون. And the one who sent down from the sky water, for a determined period. So then we indicated by it that it should go to a deadened land so that it might be brought to life. Likewise, so shall you be brought out. And the one who created the pairs all things, and he made for you from both the boats as well as the cattle that you ride, so that you might ride on the backs of these beasts and remember the favor of your Lord when you mount them, and so that you should say at the time of mounting your steed, the one who subjected to us this very steed, and we were in need of it, and indeed to our Lord is our return. And they made for him from his slaves some part of this, some part of the partnership that they associated. Indeed, the human being is ungrateful, clearly indeed. Or has he taken from that which he created daughters and chosen for you sons? Whenever glad tidings is given to any one of them of that which they ascribe to the most merciful, i.e. a child, that is a female, you see the face of such a man become darkened and ashen, and he is in sadness and sorrow. Is it then the one who brought them to be like the one who is clearly in dispute without clear guidance? And they have made the angels, who they are in fact the slaves of the most merciful, to be daughters to him. Were these very people witnesses to their creation? Their witness shall certainly be written down, and they shall be asked about what they said. And they said, if the most merciful had willed, we would not have worshipped them. They have no knowledge in that regard. They are only people filled with doubts and disputation. Or did we give them a book from beforehand, in which they are preserved from punishment or penalty? But they said, indeed, we found our fathers upon a nation and religion from before, and we are following in their footsteps and shall not leave that path. Surah Az-Zukhruf, the 43rd Surah, ayat 11 to 22. When the Exalted One has mentioned the one who sent down from the sky water according to a determined measure, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, this ayah, what's intended by this ayah is that it's not the same rain that was sent down on the people of Nuh without measure, because that water drowned them and destroyed them. This water and this rain is with a measure, because whenever rain is sent down with a certain measure, it is beneficial and not a punishment. And this is what is meant when Allah said, and we caused that rain to go to a dead land and enliven it, and likewise so shall you be brought out. كَذَلِكَ تُخْرَجُونَ. Hamza al-Kasai ibn Amr recited as كَذَلِكَ تَخْرُجُونَ, while the rest recited as كَذَلِكَ تُخْرَجُونَ. Now, as for the rest of what comes after that ayah, ayah 12, this has been discussed in Surah Yasin, the 36th Surah, ayah 36 and 42. When the Exalted One is said, so that you might ride on their backs, then you mention the favor of your Lord, meaning because these creatures, whether it is the boat or whether it is the animal, they have been subjected to you as a means of transportation on land and on sea. And then when it is said, we were in need of this, we were able, for your sake, O Allah, Ibn Abbas and Mujahid say that it means that this supplication is you are admitting that you were only able to do this by Allah's favor. This was our means of transportation. And to our Lord we shall return, meaning in the hereafter. Close quote. Now, just an important point here. There is a hadith in the collection of Imam As-Suyuti in which the Prophet ﷺ, he said that at the time that one is mounting his means of transportation, the markab, because markab is a means of transportation. At the time that one is mounting his means of transportation, he should say this supplication. And it was this ayah. Right? It was these two ayah. Subhanalladhi sakhara lana hadha wa ma kunna lahu muqrinin wa inna ila rabbina lamunqalibun. Right? Glorified is the one who subjected to us this, meaning the means of transportation or the riding beast. Right? And we were not able to do it, meaning of our own selves. Right? Had we not been given that, because you have to look at it from the standpoint, if you didn't have cars, if you didn't have your boats or your means of transportation, we might still be able to get to the places that we get to, but it would take an incredibly long period of time. If you look at how long it would take to get, say, across the Horn of Africa on foot versus how long it takes by a flight, right? So it's a wisdom of acknowledging that. And then the rest of the part, وَإِنَّا إِلَىٰ رَبِّنَا لَمُنْقَلِبُونَ, and indeed we are returning to our Lord in the hereafter. Right? So that dua, that two-line dua is very important because what the Prophet ﷺ said, that is the dua for when you're getting into the markab, the means of transport. So whether it's the plane, the boat, the camel, the horse, the car, whatever, markab just means, markab means thing ridden. Rakiba yarkabu, something that gets ridden. Right? So markab, whatever means of transportation, whether you're driving, whether you're riding it, whether you're a passive passenger, whatever. It just says that at the time of mounting your means of transportation, that you do so. Right? Now the Imam rahimahullah, he says, quote, and when the Exalted One says, and they made for him from his slaves some part of it, meaning the part of it, those that claim that the angels are the daughters of Allah, they've somehow given him a share in giving birth or having children. That's the part that they have given him by declaring that he has daughters. Then Allah after this says, indeed the human being, the unbelieving human being, is ungrateful, lakafur, because he's denying the favors of Allah and he's openly doing so. Zahirul kufr, he's manifesting his rejecting. And he is denied that which they say. And he, Allah, has rebuked them when he said, or has he, Allah, taken daughters from that which he has created himself? This question is being asked, but it's not being asked for information. It's being asked to refute. And he's chosen for you the sons while he has daughters. But whenever glad tidings should be given to them of one, of that which they associate to the most merciful, meaning Allah is making a likeness for them, meaning that they give Allah the daughters, yet they despise them when they're born to them. So they're giving Allah that which they hate themselves and not the best of what they declare for themselves. So the ayah here shows that he's refuting them. And it's also explained as well in Surah Al-Nahl, the 16th Surah, ayah 58. Or is it the one who created and formed them? Now the intent here is the one that created and formed them. Now here, the expression literally, hilya in Arabic means finery. He, Allah, created the finery. But the finery being referred to by Allah here are the daughters. Because they are finery. And those who are in dispute about this matter don't have any clear proof. Qatada said, so whereas a woman spoke with her evidences and proofs, she only speaks with the clear evidence that's either against her or for her case. And the idolatry that's being mentioned is rejected. And when the Exalted One said, and they declared the angels, meaning that they somehow got the angels involved in their falsehood by making the angels daughters and saying that they're the daughters of Allah, while those angels are the slaves of Allah. Now Ibn Kathir, Nafi', Ibn Amr, Yaqub, Abban ibn Asim, and Ash-Shizri from Al-Kasa'i say, rather than الَّذِينَ هُمْ عِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ, it's recited الَّذِينَ هُمْ عِنْدَ الرَّحْمَنِ. But the rest recited عِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ. Now this recitation and this explanation goes hand in hand with another ayah, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ, indeed those in the sight of your Lord. Surah Al-A'raf, the 7th Surah, 206, meaning all the slaves, all the creation. And when they're in the sky, and indeed, when they are in the sky, those who are in the sky are not anything like those who don't know about their condition, meaning the idol worshippers. And then when he says, did they witness their creation? Did they witness their creation? This means, were they present at the creation of the angels, meaning the idol worshippers, when they could possibly know that the angels were females? This is a refutation because they were not directly present for the creation of the angels. So how could they say that they are females when they were not present? Their witness shall certainly be taken, meaning the witness that they said the angels are the daughters of Allah. Their witness is being taken and it will be used against them. Al-Muqatil said, whereas Allah Mighty and Majestic said, did they witness their creation? They will be asked about this and they will say no. Now the Prophet ﷺ, when he recited this ayah, he then asked the idol worshippers, did you witness the creation of the angels? They said, no. He said, then how can you know that they're daughters if you didn't witness their creation? The answer of the idol worshippers was, we heard from our fathers, and we bear witness that they would not lie in that regard. So Allah the Exalted said, so it shall be written, their witness, they shall be asked about their witness in the hereafter. And when the Exalted One says, and they say, if the Most Merciful had willed, we would not have worshipped them. Now, there are two people there are two groups that are being referred to here as the source of worship. One is the idol worshippers are referring to the angels. And this is referred to by Qatada and Muqatil. So the idol worshippers are saying, if the Most Merciful had willed, we would not have worshipped the angels. The second category the second group that are being referred to is, had the Most Merciful willed it, we would not have worshipped the idolatrous images. This was mentioned by Mujahid. Now, they only intend by stating this, the idol worshippers, to say, if he wasn't pleased with our worship towards these idols, he certainly, or the angels, he certainly would have hastened on our punishment. But he, Allah, refuted them when he said, they don't have any knowledge of the matter. One of the commentators says this expression refers to the fact that their knowledge of the matter means they don't have any knowledge of the claim that the angels are daughters. And it's not a refutation of, had the most merciful willed, we would not have worshipped them, because that's actually a sound statement. Because what Allah wills is indeed that which comes to pass. Don't we know when he says, لَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مَا أَشْرَكْنَا, if Allah had willed, we would not have associated partners with him. Surah An'am, the 6th surah, ayah 148. And the Exalted One has also said, أَنُطْعِمُ مَنْ لَوْ يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ أَطْعَمَهُ. Is it then we will feed the one who, had Allah willed, he would have fed him? Surah Yasin, the 36th surah, ayah 47. Now already we've explained the meaning of this at that point. And we've discussed the difference between the pleasure of Allah and the will of Allah. And they deny. Meaning that their denial shows that they are liars by their way of disputation. Because they believe that He, Allah, is pleased with them with kufr as their religion. But look at what Allah the Exalted said. Or did we give them a book from before? Meaning, did we give them a book from before this Quran proclaiming to them to worship other than Allah? And they're using this book as their evidence? The answer is obviously no. But when they are asked, they say, we found our fathers upon an ummah. Now, ummah in this ayah means a way or a religion. So we found our fathers upon a religion. Because ummah in this ayah means a religion or a way. And we are following in their footsteps. So they are following their example. They are making taqleed of their ancestors, their fathers, without proof in the matter of faith and salvation. Then He, Allah, informed regarding other people like them that said this very statement when He said, and likewise, those before them went astray in this regard. Close quote. Now this is a very important point because it brings us down to two issues regarding taqleed. One does not make taqleed of anybody in theology. You don't make taqleed of anybody in your creed. In the theology, you don't say Allah is one because Imam Ahmed, he said so. Allah has names and attributes because Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he said so. That's something that must be affirmed by you because that's information that you have to access, that you have to affirm, that you have to do tasdeeq of. And the only way to do tasdeeq of something is on the tongue, starting with the heart and in the tongue. Someone can't do tasdeeq of you for something. Taqleed of the early generations in fiqh is because you have the general outline of the evidences, but the way that it's been given to you, you can't access all the proofs because you either don't have time or other issues, but it's been handed down to you. So the 500 ahadith on salah, how the companions have passed it down, how it's been given to us. We've been given permission We've been shown that it's permitted to do this. But we've never been given permission to say, well, I am following such and such. I believe that Allah is one because my Sheikh has told me that Allah is one. No, Allah is one because it's true. And that's what's been revealed. And that's what I affirm. And that's why sometimes this is a latter-day issue. But some of the latter-day scholars have said, well, is it permitted if somebody got all of their information about Islam without the Quran or Sunnah? Someone had no access to the book or the Sunnah, and they got all their information from one person, right? Everything, right? Some of the latter-day scholars argue about this issue. But the earlier scholars didn't argue about this matter because it was sufficient enough for someone to be convinced and to believe in their own heart the truth of a matter. Because the issue comes down to this. Some of the latter-day scholars, they spoke about tasdeeq, and the latter-day definition of tasdeeq started to mean to be convinced. To be convinced. When tasdeeq does not mean that. Saddaqa yusaddiqu tasdeeqan, it doesn't mean that. Tasdeeq means, in the original form, means to affirm the truth of something and to testify to it, having known that to be the case. That's what Iman means. So when someone talks to a Muslim and says, oh, well, you only have blind faith. Well, no. Iman in Arabic and faith in English theologically mean two different things. Faith for a Christian and Iman for a Muslim mean two different things. Do you ever wonder why when you're saying the testimony of faith you say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, I bear witness that there's no God but Allah? That's a statement that you make in court. Which is what? If anyone's ever been to court, you raise your hand or you affirm and you say, I bear witness that the information that I'm going to use, that I'm going to give today is correct and that I'm telling the truth to the best of my ability, so help me God, or I so affirm. Are you telling, when you're in court, are you talking about things you believe or things you know? You're talking about things you know. That's why you say ashhadu, because you're talking about things that you know, things that are facts. Now, that those things remain as ashhadu or tasdeeq or iman, whether you believe it or not, it's there. So the Prophet ﷺ, when he came, he didn't come to say, I'm here to convince you of La ilaha illallah. Because La ilaha illallah is. It is. So when the idol worshiper came to him and said, I want to fight the other idol worshippers along with you, he didn't say, are you convinced of La ilaha illallah? He said, no, he said, Hal tashhadu, do you bear witness that there's no God but Allah, Muhammad is the messenger of Allah? The idol worshiper said, no, I don't. And he said, La, ana la ashhadu dhalik, I don't bear witness of that. I don't bear witness of that. Meaning, by the other end of it, that I bear witness that what you're saying is true, but I don't bear witness to that. I don't acknowledge it. I don't acknowledge it. So it's a fact. These are facts. So when we talk about iman and tasdeeq, it is what you are clearly bearing witness to and testifying to. What's there in the heart and what's on the tongue. Now, latter generations of scholars, some of the latter generation of theologians, mostly speculative theology, began to get into this issue and talk about being convinced. So you might hear in discussions, or you might have heard in debates, whether it's online or in gatherings at your local university or in front of your bodega or your local shop while you're buying a sandwich, people getting into these debates and saying, no, I believe in Allah. I'm convinced. I've convinced myself. I am intellectually engaged, or I'm intellectually convinced of that, or I'm intellectually convinced. There's a problem with this, because all madmen, tyrants, criminals, and maniacs were convinced of what they were doing. I don't care about what you're convinced of. I care about the truth of it, and do you bear witness to it? That's why in court, if you're convinced of something but you're not telling the truth, that's perjury. And you spend time in the pen. You don't bear witness to the testimony of Allah and you lie about it, that's divine perjury. And the prison you go to is eternal. So this is extremely important because all of the court, how we see how courts function in criminal law, it's all based on the divine law. And that's why you see people making kings down here, because they're copying the older form. They're copying the original form. People are making law courts and judges, and they have the witnesses, which is what the angels are on the day of resurrection. They're attempting to imitate, whether it's wrong or right, they're attempting to imitate the heavenly form, how things are done, which is that system that's in place. The angels have witnesses, which are what? The witnesses you have in court, right? People are all there in the gallery. The gallery's open to the public. Who's there on the day of resurrection? The whole public. There's one judge that stands over the case. Was the judge? Allah on the day of resurrection, right? The person that's on remand is brought up, right? And the person that's brought on remand is brought up. And what happens? His book is opened up. Right. His book is opened up. Yes. And in some of your older courts, the book is on the right hand of the court for the prosecution, and the book's on the left hand for those who are arguing for his defense, for mercy. And sometimes the accused can do what? Throw himself on the mercy of the court. Now, when you're released that day, even if you're in your clothes for remand, you're in an orange or blue jumpsuit, and you're acquitted, not guilty, not guilty. What happens? You're released that day. You're free. If you're not, you're condemned and the sentence is handed down. Well, why do you have all the witnesses and court reporters to bear witness? Same thing on the day of resurrection. What does the court reporters need to be there in the earthly case there? For evidence. So it's written into the court record. Same thing here. Same thing here. Don't we understand this is the world's biggest court case we've ever seen that's coming? So when Allah said to the pen, write everything from now until the day of resurrection, that's the court case. That's what's running. We're all on remand. We're all in our jumpsuits. Now, some of us are up for murder. Some of us are up for major shirk and murder. Some of us are up for major shirk, major kufr, murder, and all types of things. And you know what? Some of us have committed all those things, and then we've become believers. And we come up, and we've been acquitted of all charges. Why? Because the judge has seen fit to expunge those files. And that case can't be opened again. That's why kafara, expiation, is also an old legal term in Arabic for what? When a criminal's file gets expunged at the good pleasure of the judge. How? How does that get done? We don't know. Why? Because the judge in those court cases doesn't tell you why. He doesn't give you a reason why. He doesn't tell you why. He doesn't give you any reason why. But we know that he expunges certain files and he forgives and he acquits criminals, but we don't know. Only the judge in that court case knows. What's that? That's a parable for the same salvation that we know. All these things are signs and symbols and shadows of the kingdom of the hereafter, the malakut, the jabarut, and the lahut, all these different areas of the akhirah, all these other things we see, they're reflections of that. So understand that when we're looking at these examples, this is what we're getting. Right? This is what we're seeing. So when people are talking about, I'm following a deen from before, we're following our ancestors, all these other things, and how can this be, and how can these people be acquitted? And understand, the testimony of faith, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah, it's a testimony. It's affirming a fact. When you're in court, they're not asking you, if you've ever looked in court where you say, I think so. That's a sign of you don't know. And usually they'll press you further and say, what do you mean? Is it yes or no? Why? Because they either want a narrative, yes or no answers, and they want you to testify before that the words you're going to say are truthfully. Same thing here. So we have to make a distinction between that and what we see today. You can't convince yourself, I convince myself that I believe in Allah. No, that's not from you, because Iman is from Allah. He's the one that put it in there. And you can see this, that's in Surah Al-Hujurat, that's in Surah Ali Imran. We've already been through those ayat myriad times. Allah's put Iman in them. Allah's entered Iman in their hearts. You've got nothing to do with it. It's not your Iman. It's not even on loan. None of it's yours. The deeds that Allah has created, the good deeds that we do, we get the reward from them because we acquire the reward by doing what's pleasing to Allah. But there's no way for us to somehow use that to say, well, I'm going to use a creation to somehow shingle my way into the paradise. It's the same thing that keeps getting stressed over and over again. There's no rent to buy or layaway offer for the paradise. You don't have enough money in your account. You just don't. And the moment you understand that, then you're on clear ground. Now, the Imam, he starts by saying, quote, and the Exalted One, he says further in reply to them when he says, وَكَذَلِكَ مَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن قَبْلِكَ فِي قَرْيَةٍ مِّن نَّذِيرٍ إِلَّا قال مترفوها إنا وجدنا آباءنا على أمة وإنا على آثارهم مقتدون قال أولو جئتكم بأهدى مما وجدتم عليه آباءكم قالوا إنا بما أرسلتم به كافرون فانتقمنا منهم فانظر كيف كان عاقبة المكذبين وإذ قال إبراهيم لأبيه وقومه إنني براء مما تعبدون إلا الذي فطرني فإنه سيهدين وجعلها كلمة باقية في عقبه لعلهم يرجعون بل متعت هؤلاء وآباءهم حتى جاءهم الحق ورسول مبين ولما جاءهم الحق قالوا هذا سحر وإنا به كافرون وقالوا لولا نزل هذا القرآن على رجل من القريتين عظيم أهم يقسمون رحمة ربك نحن قسمنا بينهم معيشتهم في الحياة الدنيا ورفعنا بعضهم فوق بعض درجات ليتخذ بعضهم بعضا سخريا ورحمة ربك خير مما يجمعون ولولا أن يكون الناس أمة واحدة لجعلنا لمن يكفر بالرحمن لبيوتهم سقفا من فضة ومعارج عليها يظهرون. And likewise, we did not sin before you in any nation or group of people a warner except that he said, is it the case that you have left the truth and say, we found our fathers upon a religion and a way and we are following them in that way? He said, Is it then if I came to you with something better than that which you found them upon, meaning your fathers, that you would follow the truth? They said, we reject and disbelieve in that which you've been sent with. So we avenged and brought down our wrath from them. So look at how was the end of those who denied the truth. And look at when Ibrahim said to his father and his people, indeed, I am free from that which you worship, except the one who created me and fashioned me and molded and shaped me. For indeed, he shall guide me. And he made it a clear and long-standing word on his way so that they might return to the truth. But I have sustained these and their fathers until there might come the truth of them in a clear messenger. And whereas the truth came, they said, this is clear magic, and we reject faith in it. They said, why is this Quran not been sent down on a man, a great man, from two of the main cities? So do they then seek to constrict or to make light of or to take account of the mercy of your Lord? We have constricted and made light among them of their lives in the earthly life. And we have raised some over others in different ranks and categories, so that some might take joy and jest in others in competition. And the mercy of your Lord is better than that which you have gathered together in this earthly life. And indeed, if we had so willed, humanity could have been made one nation and all one ummah. But we had made for the one who rejected the most merciful for their homes to be having ceilings of molten silver and manifest for that which they had brought upon themselves. Surah Az-Zukhruf, the 43rd surah, ayat 23 to 33. And when the Exalted One has said that they found their fathers on a way, and they're following that way, and the messenger said in response that, what if I came to you with a sign more guided and better than that which your fathers had had? This means that there's a possibility they might follow some other way, and that the taqleed that they were doing in the creed and worship of their fathers. Muqatil said, they rejected the Prophet ﷺ when they said, we're telling you clearly that we reject that which you've been sent with. So this all goes back to their rejection being connected to the rejection given before by the past nations. And the wrath was brought to bear upon them. When Nabiyuna Ibrahim alayhi salam, he said to his people and his father, I am free. I am innocent of that which you worship from besides Allah. So he made the matter clear. And that he worshipped only the Lord of creation. As mentioned, Illa Rabbal Alameen, Surah Al-Shu'ara, the 26th Surah, Ayah 77. And we made it, meaning the word of Tawheed, that is La ilaha illallah. We made it a long-standing word in those left behind that would come after him from his children, so that there would always be among them one who said that Allah is one, so that they might return to Tawheed, all of them, when they hear the word of their father, Nabiyuna Ibrahim alayhi salam, who from before sought refuge from the idols and declared Allah as one and unique. Then Allah mentioned his favor on the Quraysh when he said, I have sustained these ones here and their fathers, وَآبَاءَهُمْ. So here Allah is saying that I sustained them and their fathers, and that he didn't punish them immediately even though they deserved it, until when the truth came to them, meaning the Quran, and a clear messenger, وَالرَّسُولٌ مُبِينٌ, And that clear messenger is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it's necessary that they accept the favors being given by obeying the messenger. Yet they opposed him. And when there came to them, meaning the Quraysh, according to the vast majority, although some have said the Jews, the truth, meaning the Quran, they said, why has there not been sent down this Quran on some great man from the two major cities? Now, the two major cities refers to Mecca and At-Ta'if, as said by Ibn Abbas and a large majority. Now, a great man, رَجُلٍ عَظِيمٍ, a great man, what they were talking about is Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira. Because he was a great man in Mecca. So why wasn't he sent as a messenger or a prophet? The great man in Ta'if was Utbah ibn Rabi'ah, said by Mujahid. So why wasn't he a great man? Still others said, what about Habib ibn Amr ibn Umayr? This was mentioned by Ibn Abbas. Or Mas'ud ibn Amr. What about Urwa ibn Mas'ud? Said by Qatada and Mujahid. Or Ibn Abd bil-Layl. Or even Kinana ibn Abd. So they were asking, why not these great men? Great by stature, they referred to. But Allah refuted them by saying, are they seeking to split up the mercy of Allah or constrict it? Meaning the prophethood. They want it to be constricted and placed where they so will. Because they seek from Allah what they think. But Allah said, we constrict among them their lives and their livelihood, meaning their sustenance by the ordainment of Allah. So, if their sustenance is restricted by the ordainment of Allah, it certainly won't change even if they have prophethood, because He, Allah, has control over the sustenance. There was no power or might except for Him. And we rose some of them over others in ranks in terms of wealth and poverty, freedom, slavery, so that some might take rank over the others in competition or mockery or play. Meaning so that the rich might be served by the poor or the poor served by the rich. And the people of the world might be impacted by what happens. So that some take wealth over the others and enslave others. So the Sukhriyah is the different ranks that people take. But the mercy of your Lord, meaning the prophethood, is better than their wealth which they've gathered together. And the paradise is better than that which is in the earthly life. Had it not been for Allah's will, otherwise He could have made them all one nation. But He, Allah, said that we made For whoever rejected the most merciful, meaning what they desired of the earthly life in our sight, their homes to seek after them, to ask for silver and golden linings and such. They had roofs of silver, which would later be made molten over them on the day that shall be coming. So each one of them shall have like a roof of silver. And it shall come down over them. So those that exalt themselves over others, that shall come down over them. Those who are righteous shall have that, but it shall be good for them. And the exalted one has said,
وَلِبُيُوتِهِمْ أَبْوَابًا وَسُرُرًا عَلَيْهَا يَتَّكِئُونَ وَزُخْرُفًا وَإِن كُلُّ ذَلِكَ لَمَّا مَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةُ عِندَ رَبِّكَ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ ومن يعش عن ذكر الرحمن نقيض له شيطانا فهو له قرين وإنهم ليصدونهم عن السبيل ويحسبون أنهم مهتدون حتى إذا جاءنا قال يا ليت بيني وبينك بعد المشرقين فبئس القرين ولن ينفعكم اليوم إذ ظلمتم أنكم في العذاب مشتركون أفأنت تسمع الصم أو تهدي العمي ومن كان في ضلال مبين فإما نذهبن بك فإنا منهم منتقمون أو نرينك الذي وعدناهم فإنا عليهم مقتدرون فاستمسك بالذي أوحي إليك إنك على صراط مستقيم وإنه لذكر لك ولقومك وسوف تسألون واسأل من أرسلنا من قبلك من رسلنا أجعلنا من دون الرحمن آلهة يعبدون ولقد أرسلنا موسى بآياتنا إلى فرعون وملئه فقال إني رسول رب العالمين فلما جاءهم بآياتنا إذا هم منها يضحكون.
And for their houses shall be doors and thrones which they shall recline upon, and gold, and each one of those shall have that. But the maintenance of the earthly life is little indeed, but the hereafter in the sight of your Lord is for the righteous and pious and is better. And whoever should go away from the remembrance of the most merciful, shall be appointed a demon, known as a qareen. And these very ones shall lead him far astray from the path, although they might think that they are guided. Until when he comes to us and he shall say, oh, I wish there was between me and between you the distance of 2 easts, bu'd al-mashriqaini. And oh, what a terrible companion this qareen is. And he will never benefit you today when you have been oppressed. Indeed, you are in a punishment, and you are to share with him in that punishment. Is it then that you can make the deaf to hear, or you can guide the blind, and the one who is in severe misguidance? And as the case be, we shall certainly bring out from you those who shall receive their punishment, and we shall show the wrath to them. And those who we promised upon them that which had been ordained before it shall come to pass. Hold fast to that which was revealed to you. Indeed, you are on a straight path. Indeed, it is a remembrance for you and for your people, and you shall certainly be asked. And ask whoever we sent someone to from before you, from our messengers, that did we make from besides the most merciful gods that were worshipped? Already we sent Musa with our signs to the Pharaoh and his retinue. And he said, Musa, indeed, I am a messenger of the Lord of all creation. When he came to them with our signs, they were utterly laughing and mocking. Surah Az-Zukhruf, the 43rd Surah, ayat 34 to 47. When the Exalted One has said of this matter that their houses shall have doors of silver, and thrones of silver, and that which is manifested of their homes in gold. So he's prepared for those who are righteous all of those things. And that the earthly life is very little, but the hereafter is better than that. And this is specifically for those who are pious. And whoever should pull away from or go away from the remembrance of Allah, as mentioned by Ibn Abbas, Qatada, Al-Farra, and Al-Zajjaj, and Ata, Al-Mawirdi, Al-Farra, whoever pulls away from the remembrance of Allah, or even makes light of it, and does not incline to the remembrance of Allah, shall certainly have turned over to him a demon as a reward for such a thing, and he shall be a qareen to him. And by qareen, it also means the verbal form, which means that a qareen does not leave from its companion, because qareen means something that goes alongside of it and doesn't depart from it. And they, meaning the demons, shall certainly hinder them, meaning the unbelievers. So the demons will hinder the unbelievers from the path of guidance. And the unbelievers of the children of Adam will think that they are on guidance until when they come to us, meaning on that very day. And until Allah shall bring them on the day of resurrection in chains. And the qareen will be next to the unbelieving human being, and they will both be sent to the fire. And the unbeliever will say, Qala, the unbeliever will say to the demon, I wish there was between myself and you the length of the 2 easts, meaning what's between the 2 easts in the summer and the winter. Some have said it means the east of the sun in the shortest part of the year and the longest part of the year. The space of that time he will wish that there was between them. Or the mashriqain, the 2 east, meaning the east and the west. I wish there was the distance between the east and the west, between me, myself, and you. And what a terrible companion to have a qareen for. So Allah will say that day to the unbelievers, today he can't benefit you in the oppression that you've done, meaning the associating of partners with Allah in the earthly life. You shall share in the punishment. So he can't help you in that area, but you shall share in the penalty. Every one of them shall have the penalty, and you will share in that. And you shall feel the wrath that is coming, and that which is to be given over unto you. And it, meaning the Quran, وَإِنَّهُ, the Quran is a remembrance for you. It's a nobility for you from what Allah has given you and for your people. Now, the people of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his people are three. The first of his people is in specifics the Arabs. Because the remembrance was firstly specifically addressed to them. Number two, the Quraysh. The third is all of whoever believed in him. Now, it was mentioned from Ibn Abbas that the Prophet ﷺ, when he was asked, to who is this ayah referring to? And who is in charge of this affair after you? And he didn't say anything until this ayah was sent. So after this time, when he said, whose lineage is in charge of this matter after you? And he said, the Quraysh. Now this shows that the Prophet ﷺ understood from this ayah that over the Muslims was the judgment of prophethood, the nobility of the Quran, and also that he knew that the people would dispute after him in the governance of affairs. Even with the nobility of the Quran, which was sent on one man from among them. So he told them the governance in this matter, meaning referring to the Khilafah, was from the Quraysh. Mujahid mentioned that the people referred to here obviously are the Arabs, and the Quran is a nobility for them because it was sent in their language. The remembrance was put in their language. And then when Allah the Exalted has said, you shall certainly be asked, meaning regarding the goodness and whether you thanked Allah for it, and you shall be asked about the rights and whether you betrayed the rights of Allah. Then Allah has said, and ask whoever was sent from before you of our messengers. Now it might be said, how can he ask the messengers that died before him that were sent before? How can that be? The answer to this question is threefold. Number one, when he went on the night journey, all the prophets were gathered in front of him, and he prayed with them. And the angel Jibreel alayhi salam could just as much have said, so ask those who were sent before you. Because this surah is a Meccan surah. So he could have asked them at that time. And there is a narration that is mentioned that proclaims just this from Ibn Abbas, Sa'id ibn Jubayr, Az-Zuhri ibn Zayd. So the messengers were gathered to him on the night journey. He met them, and he was commanded to ask them so that he might not have any disputes or questions in any regards to the other prophets. Secondly, ask those who were sent from before you from our messengers, could be referring to the believers of the people of the book, who prophets were sent to them. This was mentioned by Ibn Abbas, Al-Hasan Al-Basri, Mujahid, Qatada, Ad-Dahhak, and As-Sudai. Ibn Al-Ambari has said, so ask the followers of those sent before you. Now, the scholars of commentary say that this is indeed another statement on the matter. As the Zajjaj has said, that this question is not seeking information, but it's confirmation. So when all the nations are asked, that has been recorded in the books. Thirdly, that ask whoever we sent from before you of our messengers. The intent of this is speaking to the Prophet ﷺ, in which he's speaking to his ummah. So it means ask all of them. The unbelievers, when he came to them as a messenger, they denied him, they mocked and jeered him. Then the Exalted One, he said of this,
وَمَا نُرِيهِم مِّنْ آيَةٍ إِلَّا هِيَ أَكْبَرُ مِنْ أُخْتِهَا وَأَخَذْنَاهُمْ بِالْعَذَابِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ وَقَالُوا يَا أَيُّهَا السَّاحِرُ ادْعُ لَنَا رَبَّكَ بِمَا عَهِدَ عِندَكَ إِنَّنَا لَمُهْتَدُونَ فَلَمَّا كَشَفْنَا عَنْهُمُ الْعَذَابَ إِذَا هُمْ يَنكُثُونَ ونادى فرعون في قومه قال يا قوم أليس لي ملك مصر وهذه الأنهار تجري من تحتي أفلا تبصرون أم أنا خير من هذا الذي هو مهين أم أنا خير من هذا الذي هو مهين ولا يكاد يبين فلولا ألقي عليه أسورة من ذهب أو جاء معه الملائكة مقترنين فاستخف قومه فأطاعوه إنهم كانوا قوما فاسقين فلما أسافونا انتقمنا منهم فأغرقناهم أجمعين فجعلناهم سلفا ومثلا للآخرين ولما ضرب ابن مريم مثلا إذا قومك منه يصدون وقالوا أآلهتنا خير أم هو ما ضربوه لك إلا جدلا بل هم قوم خصمون إن هو إلا عبد أنعمنا عليه وجعلناه مثلا لبني إسرائيل وَلَوْ نَشَاءُ لَجَعَلْنَا مِنْكُمْ مَلَائِكَةً فِي الْأَرْضِ يَخْلُفُونَ. And we did not show them any sign except that the sign that came after was greater than the first one. And we took a hold of them with the punishment so that they might return to the truth. They said, O magician, call on your Lord for us, according to the covenant in your sight, so that we might be guided. But when the penalty of punishment was lifted from them each time, they would return back to their falsehood. The Pharaoh called out among his people, saying, My people, does not the dominion of Egypt belong to me? Do not these rivers run under my feet on account of me? Don't you see the truth of this matter? Or I am better than the one who he is weak among you and is almost lowly and abased. Why is it that we do not throw chains upon him and lay the end to him? And why is it not that it be the case that there be sent down to him, or there come to him angels in ranks, and his people made light of him, and they obeyed him, and they obeyed Pharaoh in that regard, and they were a people that were rebellious sinners. And when they transgressed against us in that regard, we took vengeance against them, and we drowned them, and we made them a sign in the past ages, and also an example to those who would come after. Whereas the example of the son of Maryam was given when your people fled away from the truth, and they said, Is it our gods are better or him? And they had nothing to give as an example for him to you, except as disputes. But these are a people filled with disputation. He is only a slave that we have favored him, and we have made him an example for the children of Israel. And if we had willed, we could have made for among you angels to go about in the earth, succeeding one another, generation after generation. Surah Az-Zukhruf, the 48th surah. Surah Az-Zukhruf, the 43rd surah. Ayat 48 to 60. The Exalted One, when he has said, We showed them any sign that we showed them, it was greater than the previous sign. Now, here, what's being referred to in the incident of Nabiyyuna Musa alayhi salam and the Pharaoh and his retinue is the overflowing waters, then the mice, the locusts, the frogs, the blood, the other signs. Each one was greater than the one that happened before. And each time one of these signs was unveiled and the punishment came upon them, they asked that it be lifted. And each one of these punishments, these plagues, were miracles of Nabiyyuna Musa alayhi salam. And when they called him a magician, some scholars say that they were referring to the fact that that was the word that they used for their wise ones, because they believed that the ones who wielded magic were wise and mighty. But they also intended it as mockery. And they used the only language they could to describe someone that was mighty and troublesome in their midst. As mentioned, these commentaries by Ibn Abbas, Al-Hasan al-Basri, and Az-Zajjaj. And they asked that the punishment might be lifted so that they might be guided, meaning that they would believe in him if he had these punishments lifted. So Nabiyyuna Musa alayhi salam made the supplication, the punishment was lifted, but then they wouldn't believe. And the process would continue after this. Now this has been discussed in Surah Al-A'raf, the 7th surah, ayah 135. And when the Pharaoh said to them, that do I not have dominion over Egypt, and are not these rivers the ones that flow under my feet on my command? meaning from under my feet, under my castle. Don't you see, meaning don't you see my might and the power of my dominion? So he is attempting to show and establish that he is more powerful than Nabiyyuna Musa alayhi salam. Don't you see my power? Don't you see my might? Don't you see the one that is lower than me? So he is attempting to show his power and also attempting to show his might. So Allah here gives examples of what had happened and what they had done, what these previous people had done. And they were waiting as if the angels might come and join him in ranks following him. And the people made light of Nabiyyuna Musa alayhi salam. They made light of him. And by obeying the Pharaoh, they denied Nabiyyuna Musa alayhi salam, and the wrath came upon them. And this was shown to nations in their time as a warning, but also to those who would come later as a sign, as an example of what happens to those who go astray. And then when he says, and the example was given of the son of Maryam, most of the commentators state that this ayah was sent down regarding a dispute between Ibn al-Zab'idi and the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when the ayah was sent down. إِنَّكُمْ وَمَا تَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ, you and what you worship from besides Allah. Surah Al-Anbiya, the 21st Surah, ayah 98, shall be in the fire. Now we already gave this narrative in Surah Al-Anbiya, the 21st Surah, ayah 101. The idol worshippers, they used to make examples for Isa. They used to make representations for him for their gods, and they made likenesses of him for them. So this ayah, when it was revealed and it mentioned the idols, that whatever is worshipped from besides Allah shall be in the fire with the worshipper, they then understood from that and necessitated that, well, it must mean that Isa must be there. And that because they made a likeness for him, for their gods, as an example, that it must mean that that is the case. And this was their way and style of arguing. And they said, is it then our gods better or he? Meaning that, is it then the case that we're going to be in the fire with that which is worshipped from besides Allah? And I thought Isa was supposed to be good. So how can that be the case? So these people only wanted to dispute. They did not mention Isa except to dispute with you, because they knew that the intent was that the idols and the worshippers are fuel for the fire, and that no one is coming from those other nations of righteous people to be put in there. But there are people of disputation. And He, Allah, says, we made him an example, meaning a sign, a proof to the children of Israel, so that they might know the might of Allah regarding whatever He wants to do. That when He creates something without a father, now He's speaking to the unbelievers when He said, and if we had so willed, we could have made from among you. Meaning, you could have been replaced with angels that would move about from among you, generation after generation, succeeding one another. Then right after this, the Exalted One, He says, وَإِنَّهُ لَعِلْمٌ لِلسَّاعَةِ فَلَا تَمْتَرُنَّ بِهَا وَاتَّبِعُونِ هَذَا صِرَاطٌ مُسْتَقِيمٌ وَلَا يَصُدَّنَّكُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ ولما جاء عيسى بالبينات قال قد جئتكم بالحكمة ولأبين لكم بعض الذي تختلفون فيه فاتقوا الله وأطيعون إن الله هو ربي وربكم فاعبدوه هذا صراط مستقيم فاختلف الأحزاب من بينهم فويل للذين ظلموا من عذاب يوم أليم هل ينظرون إلا الساعة أن تأتيهم بغتة وهم لا يشعرون الأخلاء يومئذ بعضهم لبعض عدو إلا المتقين يا عباد لا خوف عليكم اليوم ولا أنتم تحزنون الذين آمنوا بآياتنا وكانوا مسلمين ادخلوا الجنة أنتم وأزواجكم تحبرون يطاف عليهم بصحاف من ذهب وأكواب وفيها ما تشتهيه الأنفس وتلذ الأعين وأنتم فيها خالدون وتلك الجنة التي أورثتموها بما كنتم تعملون لكم فيها فاكهة كثيرة منها تأكلون. Indeed, he is a marker and sign of the hour, so do not be in dispute regarding it, but follow. This is a straight path. And do not let Shaitan lead you astray from the path or hinder you. He is a clear enemy to you. And when Isa came with the clear signs, he said, already I've come to you with wisdom, and so that I might clarify to you that which you were differing in. Fear Allah and obey Him. Indeed, Allah is my Lord and your Lord, so worship Him. This is a straight path. The groups differed from among themselves. Woe be to those who oppressed from the punishment of the great day to come. That is a day of woe. Are they waiting except for the hour that shall come to them all of a sudden while they're unaware? Friends and bosom colleagues on that day shall be enemies to one another, except those who are pious. O my slaves, there shall be no fear upon you today, nor shall you grieve. Those who believe in our signs, and who were Muslims, enter the paradise, you and your spouses, all together. There shall be brought to them gatherings, pages, and all manner of goodness, of gold and goblets, and among them that which their souls desire, and that which their eyes delight in. And you are to be therein for all eternity. That is the paradise which you inherited along with that which you earned. You shall have in it all matter of fruit in many plentiful number of that which you eat. Surah Az-Zukhruf, the 43rd surah, ayat 61 to 73. The Exalted One, he says, indeed, he is a sign of the hour. This he or it indicates two things. One, Nabiyuna Isa alayhi salam. Because the coming of Nabiyuna Isa alayhi salam is from the signs of the hour. This is how you will know that the hour is right upon you. This is the statement of Ibn Abbas, Mujahid, Qatada, Ad-Dahhak, and As-Sudai. A second thing that this refers to, it being a sign of the hour, meaning Nabiyuna Isa alayhi salam resurrecting the dead is a sign of the hour and the resurrection of all the dead. This was mentioned by Ibn Ishaq. Also keep in mind that the Quran is being referenced because the Quran has all these signs in it. So the sign of the hour can be known by adhering to all of that which is within this. And do not be in dispute regarding it, meaning don't be in doubt regarding the matter, but follow, meaning follow Tawheed, be upon Tawheed. This, meaning that which I am upon, is a straight path. And when Isa came to them with the signs, we've already explained these signs in Surah Al-Baqarah, the second surah, ayat 87. He said, I've come to you with wisdom. The wisdom means the prophethood, but also the Injil, as said by Ata, As-Sudai, and Muqatil. And I clarify for you part of that which you used to differ in, meaning from the matter of your religion. This was mentioned by Mujahid. Part of that which you were differing in, meaning the replacement of the Torah, as said, and Ibn Jarir said, from the judgments of the Torah. Now some people went to the understanding that the part here, part of that which you differed in, means all. But we've explained in Surah Hamim al-Mu'min, ayat 28, this discussion in detail. As Zajjaj said, the authentic position, though, is that part does not mean all. And he's clarified to them a part of that which they differed in, which was required, because the children of Israel required some clarification on matters. So there was disputation in their religion, as well as in their earthly life. So he, Nabiyuna Isa alayhi salam, clarified the matter for them. Now, all of what comes after this has been discussed in Surah An-Nisa, the 4th Surah, 175, and Surah Maryam, the 19th Surah, ayat 37. Are they waiting? Meaning, the people of Mecca, except the hour comes to them all of a sudden. Then Allah said, bosom companions and friends on that day, meaning bosom companions that were in the earthly life on that day, on the day of resurrection, will be enemies to one another. Because bosom companions and friends in unbelief, disobedience, become enemies on the day of resurrection. Muqatil said, this was sent down regarding Umayyah ibn Khalaf and Uqba ibn Abi Mu'ayt, except the pious. So those who believe in Allah's oneness and unicity, they will be friends in this earthly life and the hereafter. So when the fear happens on the day of resurrection, a caller shall call out, O slaves, no fear upon you, nor shall you grieve. And the creation shall lift their heads and say, and he, Allah, shall say, those who believe in our signs, and they were Muslims. So the unbelievers will lay their heads low because they were not Muslims. And in their spouses, the spouses means their wives, but also means their allies. And that they shall be brought, there shall be brought to them bowls and dishes of all matter, and cups, in which they might drink from the goodness of them. And they shall have therein all of that which their souls require and desire, and that which is pleasing and tantalizing to the eyes. Now understand that there is nothing that tantalizes the soul or is pleasing to the eyes except that it's in the paradise. And Allah has already gathered together all of the goodnesses of the paradise in these 2 ayat of expression. Because that which is contenting to the soul and pleasing to the eyes and is a favor is also there for all eternity. Because if it was only there for a period of time, it would not have been tantalizing and contenting to the soul. That is the paradise, meaning that which was mentioned in the paradise. Enter the paradise which you had inherited. Now we discussed this expression in Surah Al-A'raf, the 7th Surah, ayat 43. We had discussed this before, and this matter is clarified so someone may refer to there for further details. So I say, close quote, أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم أستغفر الله إن الله غفور رحيم يحمي الراحمين. Now, Allah has blessed us to have completed 6 pages. Is there any question over what we've covered so far today? Yes.
Earlier on, you mentioned rain sent without measure. That was the rain that was sent in the time of Nabi Nuh alayhi salam.
Yes.
Is that the only time that rain was sent without measure, or have there been times after that? Are there times in our time where the occasions where rain is sent without measure?
Okay. The question is regarding the rain being sent without measure in the time of Nabi Nuh alayhi salam, that was the rain for the flood. And that rain with measure is the rain that we see in our time. But have there been other examples of rain that's been sent without measure in our own time? Alhamdulillah. Yes, because the evidence that we can see from that is when Allah says rain that's been sent with measure, فَأَنْشَرْنَا بِهِ بَلْدَةً مَيْتًا, and that it's been guided over and indicated to a dead land. So, if rain has come down with measure and it's beneficial, because if it's being sent to a dead land, it's beneficial. If rain is being sent down and the rain is not being sent to a dead land to rejuvenate it, like rain that's been sent suddenly over a built-up cemented area in New York, that's rain without measure. Because a rain with measure is meant to rejuvenate crops. Because Allah says the rain with measure is meant to do what? To be indicated for a dead land to rejuvenate it. And then Allah says right after that, and likewise so shall you be. You'll be brought forward from death. If it's being sent down on somewhere where it's not rejuvenating land, it's coming down on those people. It's not rejuvenating anything. So this is rain that falls under without measure, and that's punishment. That's punishment. Right? So that's true. There is rain that happens in this time. So any rain that's not coming with measure, any rain that's not watering crops, rejuvenating land, that's not making arable land, that's not replenishing potable water for us to drink, any rain that's not doing that is necessarily without measure and is a punishment. Now, it's not necessarily the same quantity as the rain of the flood of Nabi Nuh alayhi salam, but it's the same quality in the fact that it's punishment. No one would say that the tsunamis that have occurred are rahmah from Allah and that all the people that receive them are pleased with Allah, except of those who are martyred, who are righteous. But besides that, in general, we're talking about the general impact is with measure, is without measure, and it's punishment. Right? Yeah. Any other further questions? Yes. No. Okay. Another question. Questions? No? Okay. So we'll close here. And inshallah, if Allah preserves us, we have one more page remaining of Surah Az-Zukhruf, and then we're on Surah Al-Dukhan. So we say, Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdika, wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk, innahu ghafurur rahim yarhamir rahimin, wa la ilaha illa Allah, wassalamu alaykum.